Hey there and welcome. Have you ever found yourself scratching your head wondering why we say, I enjoy swimming, but I want to swim? You're not alone. It's one of those tricky parts of English. But don't worry, because today we're going to crack the code and make it all super simple. So let's just dive right in. Why do we say I enjoy working, but then switch it up for I want to work? It can feel kind of random, right? Well, the good news is it's not random at all. There's a logic to it. And I promise by the end of this, you're going to see these patterns everywhere. All right, to get started, we're going to eavesdrop on a quick chat between two colleagues. Your job is super simple. Just listen and pay close attention to the verbs you see highlighted on the screen. Ready? Let's do it. Okay, so the first person says, I'm feeling nervous about the meeting. I forgot to prepare some notes. Okay. So we've got forgot to prepare. Let's keep that in mind. And the other person replies, I prefer preparing early, but sometimes I end up doing everything at the last minute too. Whoa. Okay, did you catch that? Two different verbs, but they both use that ing form. Prefer preparing and end up doing. Interesting. Then we hear, I tried to finish yesterday, but I felt too tired. And just like that, we're back to that to pattern again, tried to finish. And the response, I decided to stay late last night because I wanted to improve the presentation. Okay, so that's two more for the to team. Decided to stay and wanted to improve. Next up, I appreciate that. I really enjoyed working on the slides with you last week. And there it is, just like our first example. Enjoyed working. And the conversation wraps up with this. Same here. I hope to continue working together. I'm excited about learning more as we finish this project. So we've got hope to continue, and then excited about learning. Now that last one, that's a major clue. We're definitely coming back to that. Okay, great job listening. So let's be detectives for a minute. What did you actually hear in that conversation? What clues can we pull out about how these verbs work? Okay, first, let's look at this group of verbs from the dialogue. Decide, want, and hope. What followed them every single time? We heard decided to stay, wanted to improve, and hope to continue. Yep, you got it. It was always the infinitive form, with to. Now, what about this second group, enjoy, end up, finish? We heard enjoyed, working, and end up, doing. The pattern here is pretty clear too, right? These guys are followed by the gerund. That's the fancy name for the ing form. Fantastic. You've already spotted the patterns. Now for the really cool part. Let's uncover the simple rules that explain why. This is where it all starts to make perfect sense. All right, here's the big secret, the main idea. Think of it like this. We usually use the gerund, the ing form, when we're talking about general activities or things we like or dislike. I enjoy reading. But we tend to use the infinitive, the to form, when we're talking about something more specific, like a future plan, a goal, or a decision. Like, I plan to read a book tonight. See the difference? So, verbs that are all about general feelings, like enjoy, almost always take that ing gerund. And here are a few more really common ones you should know. Finish, avoid, suggest. You could say things like, have you finished studying? Or, I suggest taking a break. Now listen up, because this is a golden rule. It works every single time. If a verb comes after a preposition, those little words like about, in, of, at, the verb will always be in the ing gerund form. Remember that line from our dialogue? I'm excited about learning. That little word about is our signal. It's a dead giveaway. Okay, and on the other side of the coin, we have our infinitive verbs. We heard want, decide, and hope in our conversation. You'll notice that these verbs are all about looking forward. They point to intentions, plans, or goals. For example, we plan to leave soon, or she promised to help. And here's another super helpful trick for the infinitive. If you have an adjective like happy, important, or difficult, the verb that follows will use to. It's why we say it is important to listen and not important listening. It just sounds right, doesn't it? Here's one more little pattern that's really useful. With certain verbs like tell, ask, or advise, we do something interesting. We put a person right in the middle. So we don't say, she told to relax. Instead, we say, she told me to relax. That person just slots right in between the two verbs. Okay, you are doing so well. You've pretty much got the main rules down. So it's time for the final level, the tricky verbs. Now, these are verbs that can use either a gerund or an infinitive, but you have to be really careful because the meaning changes completely. Let's look at these. If you say, I stopped smoking, that means you quit smoking for good. But if you say, I stopped to smoke, it means you were walking down the street and paused for a cigarette. Totally different, right? Same with remember. I remember meeting you is a memory from the past, but remember to meet him is a task you need to do in the future. So with these verbs, the pattern you choose is absolutely crucial. Wow, that was a lot to take in, I know. So let's press pause and boil everything down to a simple 4-point cheat sheet you can use as a quick reminder. Here we go, your 4 simple steps to success. First, use the gerund, that's the ing, for general activities, likes, and always after prepositions. Second, use the infinitive, the to version, for specific plans, goals, and after adjectives. Third, for verbs like tell or ask, just pop the person right in the middle. And finally, number 4, watch out for those tricky verbs like stop, try, and remember, because they're shapeshifters. And that's it. You now have the keys to understanding gerunds and infinitives. Of course, the absolute best way to get comfortable with them is to just start using them. So here's my challenge for you. What's one sentence you will try to make today using one of these new patterns? Thanks so much for joining me, and happy practicing!